Marion Knight, born 1920, November 29th, born in North Adams, Michigan. I was working at Franklin Airport, so I mean, and things were tightening up then, the guards and everything else. So then I got a job at Jeep. My buddy and his dad worked there. And I knew I was going to get drafted anyway, so I joined. I was going to TU, and the guy says, look at the bulletin board. Well, I went down, and they had a sign there, join the reserves. So I got the papers and sent them into Columbus. Got them back about 3 weeks later, and I was 8 months in the reserves at TU studying pre-radar. I was with about 20 fellows from around Toledo and Temperance. All went together from TU, and it was kind of rough. I mean, you know, 25-mile hikes and everything else, which didn't bother me too much. But then halfway through basic, I ended up in the hospital for 3 months. So I never finished basic training. Got shipped down to Great Bend, Kansas to the 19th Bomb Group, which was coming out of the Philippines. Been in the Philippines, and so I formed back again, and I went over to Guam in B-29s. We were, most of us were in my group were lucky. We got to go by airplane, so we didn't have, the ground crew had 2 weeks on the boat. Got chased by a Japanese submarine just before they got to Guam. And then it was basic, they had to clear the jungle and set up the camp. And we got there just about the time they was setting up the tents and everything else. It was kind of scary. 3 days you're in a combat zone. I got to fly the last mission, 17 hours in the air. And people don't realize that morning the Japanese and kamikazes were going to try and sink the Missouri that morning, but somebody stopped them. So we were lucky. You think about it a lot of times when you're loading the bombs, what you're doing, but you got to do it. Everybody never talked about it, just walked away in quiet. You couldn't believe it. But even when we come back home, people wouldn't talk to us because the 20th Air Force dropped the atomic bombs, you know. I mean, it was kind of a sad thing because now people come home from the war and they're celebrating and everything else, but it wasn't when we come home.